Right, so welcome back to Exehaven Harbour. Going on from my previous episode, when we were laying the second track down, and I'd come across an issue with a rail joiner that had gone underneath and hadn't quite connected. This one here on the outside edge, and it's sitting a little proud of there. Now I had a comment from Chris at Dmu. Hello Chris. I just wanted to see how I go about sorting that out. I mean, really, Chris, it's pretty simple. The only thing that I've done, or I'm going to have to do, which a lot of people probably won't have to do, is just unscrew this screw just there. So I'll get a little bit of play in it, and I'll just take the track apart, and we'll go from there. I'll come back in a minute, and we'll see how we get on. Right, so here we go, just removing the screws now. I'm going to remove one from one side of the joint and one from the other side. So gently take that out, he says, and then we do the other one there. Just come out. So hopefully I can get these two pieces apart. Just there, and we get the offending outside edge one, and just to get that slipped in there. That's gone in now. That's a lot simpler than I thought, Chris. There we go. And the screws, as I've probably mentioned before, are just a temporary measure while I'm laying the track so that I can test it and so on. And then when I come to glue it, I will just release sections of the track and then glue it all down. Well, that's the plan anyway. So slowly but surely. Now this is a tricky bit. You don't want to go and overscrew it. Just gently until we get contact with the track, really. There we go, that one's in. And try and not, if you ever do this yourselves, whether it's a good idea or not doing this way, I don't know, but I got it off of an American channel, I can't remember who it was, and they done the same thing. But be careful that you don't have the screw touching the metal rail, otherwise you're going to get a short. So there we go with my wobbly hand. Slowly. Obviously the holes were pre-drilled before that, but there we go, and that's done. So if I feel that now, that looks pretty proud, and if I look through my video screen, that looks much better. There's an expansion joint or expansion gap between the two joints because of heat. Let's just fill that again. Looks good. Fortunately, in my cabin, I don't seem to get excesses in temperature because it is situated, although my garden's south facing, it's situated on the, let's say, the side that faces north, and it's under the big oak tree, which gives it a lot of shade. Even during the heat last summer, we had a couple of really hot days, and it was fine. It was absolutely fine in here. So there we go. That's how we've done that, Chris. So I hope that's answered your question. And oh, the other thing I meant to say about leaving a little gap, it does give you that lovely little clickety-clack as the trains go round. I do like that. Okay, so like I say, Chris, I hope that's answered your question. If it was something more that you wanted to know, let me know. But, you know, John's way is not always the best way by any means. So onwards and upwards, and I'm back on the track laying duties now, so hopefully I've got nearly a whole day to get cracking and see how far we can get. So I'll get the radio on, I'll get the soldering iron fired up, and I'll get cracking. Right, well, moving on a stage, and Chris, I don't know whether I might have misunderstood what you said, but I'm going to do this anyway. I'm putting the fish plate on here on the track. What I do off of a length of flexi track is I cut the end sleeper off, and with my shaky hands, It's quite difficult from this distance, but I know over the top of my iPad while I'm filming it. But just slip that on there like that, give it a little shove, and we're in. So that's what we do. I'm actually gonna show you the way, not just you, Chris, because I think you know how to do it anyway. But just to give people an idea that perhaps they're going to start out and they're going to watch me as somebody fairly new to this, how I go about laying a piece of track. So that's how I get the fish plates on the end. Take a sleeper off the end of the piece of flexi track, and then I'll get me 2 sleepers on, and then we'll join it up with the other piece that I've got waiting to be joined. So bear with me and I'll come back to you in a minute. Right, I hope you can see the end piece of track just here. Now that has been, I've already pre-cut this because I kind of know what the curve is. So all I'm doing now is just getting that so that the 2 rails here are pretty spot on. Now the difficult part is I'll put some curve into this new piece of flex track and I'll come round there. Now ideally, I think in the real world you'd want not to be doing a join on a curve, but the practicalities of life and so on lead you to having to at points. So hold on, I'll come back to you in a minute because one of the fish plates has just fallen off. Right, so like I say, the practicalities of life don't always mean that you're going to get a nice join on a straight. Now, what I've done, and because the reason the other fish plate has come off is because obviously I need to cut this piece of track, or the rail, to match up. So bear with me a minute, because as usual, I'm not very prepared. Right, so now I'll get my marker pen. He says, trying to get it open. There we go. Okay, so what I've done is used the fish plate on one side, just so as I'm going to get the sort of curve that I'm looking for, and I just mark this piece of track here to the opposite side. So that's got that. I'll have that. I don't know whether you can see that mark there. So I'll cut that off, cut sleeper off the end, and then we'll put the other fish plate on, and then we'll join the track back up again. Okay, so now we're back. I've cut that piece of track, and when I turn that, these 2 pieces on the end are now straight. So what I should do is get the other fish plate on, not on camera because it's a right old fiddle at times, and then we'll go from there. The other thing that I've done, when I cut that piece of, keep that in shot, John. When I've cut that piece of track, I use a file, and I'll file the end just to make it nice and flat, and the 2 sides as well. So we get in there, just give it a bit of a, and that helps to get it into the fish plate, because if there are any jagged edges, would have taken them off with a little file. So I'll be back in a mo. Right, so I've got the fish plates on. I've joined the track, trying to leave at least a millimetre gap between the tracks. I mean, again, we're not perfect and we can't always do that every time. So my next stage is this piece of track on the right where my plastered finger is. I'm going to screw that down into the position that I want so that it holds the place, and then we'll go from there. Right, okay, so that screws in. So now that just allows me now to kind of shape the track round there, and of course, as usual, not prepared. I've got my, oh, there it is over there. I'll just get that. Got my faithful Pico track gauger. So in most cases I will just try and make sure that they're further apart or we're right on it. On this curve I want it to be a little bit further away. Over this side they're absolutely perfect. he says, and they'll be more than okay because there's a bit more of a gap on this curve. So what I'm going to do now is try and make this a little bit more in line with the other curve. So I think I've got that just about right coming down there. I'm trying to keep it as smooth transition as possible. What I'm going to do, I think, here, and you can't see that out of camera shot, so I shall just move it. Puts his finger over the lens. So this is the third track, the innermost track, and it actually finishes underneath the bridge. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to cut a piece off, probably where the dropper wires are on the other track, and then we'll make that the point of joining. So bear with me and I'll be back in a while. Right, okay, the track's been cut to length now so that I'm not trying to join it underneath the bridge, and I'm about to solder some dropper wires on. So all I do is, if I can just weld that pan in, and all I've done is rough the underneath of the tracks up a bit, ready to put a dob of solder on there for when I've done the wires. So I'll just use my file and I'll just do that, and it well, after watching numerous videos on how to solder and so on, I just basically copied what somebody else has done in the past, but it seems to work, so that's all good. So I'll come back to you shortly. I generally, on my layout, most of the dropper wires that I cut are about 2 foot in length, 60 centimetres, just because I like to have a little bit of play in the wires underneath, really. It's probably a little bit too long, but I'd rather have that so that I've got the play in the bus wire, so that's why I do that. Okay, so I'll be back shortly. I won't show you me soldering because I'm not very good at it, and under pressure of filming I'm bound to do something wrong. So I'll be back shortly. Right, so just a quick one before I start soldering. I've got these which take the, well, they're basically wire strippers, and they take off the end. Got them from the range. Great little bit of kit, simple and effective, which is ideal for me. But yeah, they were about £5, I think, and I can't remember, I saw them, I might have seen Simon and Simon Shed had them, but basically, if I can get the wire into shot, where are we? There we go, because everything's back to front when I'm looking at it on the camera. There we go, there's the end of the wire. You just slot that in there. Take that a bit further back, can you see that in there? That just takes the end off, and job done. Right, so there we go, that piece of track is now in. They're the two soldered dropper wires. I haven't dropped them through the track support yet, but I will do, and that just works its way round to there. Obviously I'm going to leave that loose until I do the next piece of track. It's strange with soldering. Some days it's easy peasy. Today that has taken me a good 20 minutes to do that. Very annoying. Got there in the end, but yeah, it was a bit of a pain today. And I've got my track setter in there on that joint. If you can see the joint there, there's a few mil gap there. I'd prefer that to be a bit less, to be honest, because when truck wheels go over the slightly bigger joints, they don't always like it. So I'll see if I can improve that, but it's time for lunch now, and that's where I'm heading. So we'll complete this a little bit later this afternoon. Right, so there we go, just to tidy this little section up. That piece of track is in. Obviously down here that will just be moved into position as I'll get the next piece of track in. But that's basically how I do it. I'll come back to you in a second because I don't think I've actually ever really shown you these connectors that I use, so hold on. Right, so I don't know how we're going to do this actually. Oh, there we go. Right, so these are the connectors I use. This is, I think, what's called a spade T connector. I get them from eBay, and basically I'll show you here. If I just select this, oh, not that one, this one here, this wire. All this does is, this is very difficult to film actually from where I'm sitting. So in effect, if I just do that slightly off a camera, you put the wire in there like that, and then you just crimp it. And I bought a little set of crimpers from B&Q, the Magnuson ones. It cost me about £4. And then what happens is, I'll just get rid of that wire, just make it a bit easier on myself, and I'll just readjust my position so that I can physically get these two pieces together. So this piece here, this dark blue one, this is the piece that actually connects up with your bus wire. So you crimp that together, and then once you've done that, this spade connection, there we go, just slides in on the top there, making the connection between the bus wire and the wire that you've crimped into the light blue spade piece. Now what's really good about this, and it's happened a few times now, I've had to redo something, so all you do is just pull it out, and this dark blue piece obviously stays connected to your bus wire, but I've had to redo a couple of pieces when I was doing some of the dropper wires, and it just makes it easy to do, that's all. So maybe worth a thought if you're considering it. So that's that's John's way of laying track. It's not a how-to, it's how I've watched many YouTube videos and got ideas from. And I think you actually, what you end up doing is making your own way with everything, because there's no right way to do it, and you know, whatever works for you really, and you adapt as you go around your layout. I mean, my layout is kind of almost like a freestyle layout in some respects, even though I've got a track plan. It's the track plan is very fluid. Sorry about that, I was just stepping down my steps. And one other thing before I go on this section is that, if I get right back here, my backboard is a little bit wide, to be honest. The thing is, to get it all in how I want it to look, I've got to have a wide backboard, and it is difficult working around that back part of the board. I have made access hatches to get round there, but to be honest, I've got a little pair of steps which are very helpful, but the fact is, when I get scenery on here I'm going to have an awkward task of getting over there. There are a set of ladders that you can actually get that come up and extend and will lean against the wall at the back, which will give me better access, and I'll probably end up getting some of those. It depends on how it goes really. I can reach over, but it is a stretch. So just think about that if you're planning a layout. I think this board is 4 foot wide, and really you don't want to go more than 3'6", but we'll see as we go along. But you know, the vision I have for this section is a massive town, Exehaven town, all stretching either side of the river at the back there, and you know, what's in my head doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be there in the future, but it will. That's what I'm aiming for. So there we go, that's where we're at with that. Right, so on to my latest acquisitions, and here we have a Southern Region Gov van. All the info's on there, as you can see. If I just sort of come back, hopefully we won't lose too much focus. If I can hold it and do that at the same time. There it is, in all its glory. Nicely detailed. It was a Graham Farish model. Runs an absolute treat. It has got some lovely details on it. The iPad won't do it justice really, but it is, take my word for it, really good. I've got it again, another little second-hand item from Ronline's shop in Southampton. I got it online, and it was £27.50, which, to be honest, it's about £4 or £5 cheaper maybe than you can buy it brand new, but it is brand new. To, you know, there's not a mark on it, not a blemish, so I'm really happy with that. So that's the first of that, and I'll show you in a second of it running round, so bear with me. So there we go, the Gov van is the last van on this rake. There she is, very smooth runner, very pleased with it. Right, let's give it a little bit more speed. There we go. Lovely. She looks really good on this rake. I've really struggled to find a Gov van in Southern Region colours at a reasonable price. There's been a few on eBay, but they're going for silly money, and I'm just not prepared to pay that. So, like I said, I got this from Ronline's in Southampton online, and very pleased with it. I am. I mean, it's like brand new, and it does look nice on here. Can form the extra luggage van that's coming down to Exehaven Harbour on a full train for a ship destination unknown. There she goes. Right, and here's my second acquisition. This lovely Western Region Class 121 Dmu Bubble Car. And again, this is a second-hand jobby. Lovely detail on this train, on this loco. And I picked this up from Hatton's, and I'm very pleased with it. Great little runner. And I've bought it for the service that will run from Budley Regis round to Exham Bay. Perfect little loco for that. Lights either end, and they change whichever direction they go, obviously. And then we've got a lovely bit of detailing underneath with all the exhaust and so on, all the gubbins we'll call it, eh? And yeah, very pleased with that. It has come with a full set of head codes as well, which I haven't put in yet because I'm actually I was researching what the head codes actually mean, and I'm getting on nicely with that. So at some point I'll put head codes pertaining to something similar to what it will be doing. But yeah, so I'll leave you with that for the second, and we'll do a little running session from Budley Regis, stopping at all stations to Exham Bay. Right, okay, so there's the bubble car ready for departure at Budley Regis station. One thing I didn't mention, I don't think, was that I've put a Dmu chip in it, and I've got the Dmu chip from Uchoose. Great little service. I mean, I've only ordered a 6-pin decoder, but I got a personal email from John down at Uchoose just to say that he would personally look after it and get it in the post to me as quickly as he could, which he did, and I received it the next day when the DMU arrived from Hatton's, and it does make for some very smooth running. I've also spoken to Mark Ireland over at Piddle in the Marsh, and he's given me some CV values to set for braking and so on, which is quite a good thing. I didn't know about that prior to that, and I haven't done it yet, I haven't had a chance, but anyway, the service is about to depart and we'll be going to, first stop, Exehaven Harbour. Sorry for the bad camera work there. I'm trying to do two things at once and it doesn't always work. But anyway, here she goes. As usual, apologies for the poor camera work, but I'm trying to get my controller in place ready for Exehaven Harbour Station, and which we are just coming into. And there we go. So that will be the first stop on this little local service. So onwards again. Next station will be Exehaven Town. Let's see if I can get you slightly closer up. There she goes. Now I've just got to work my way back to the controller, otherwise we're going to miss the stop, and there'll be all sorts of trouble back at head office. And here we are, just going into Exehaven Town. Okay. So that's that, and the next stop will be Exham Bay. And there we go, Exham Bay Station. There won't be just one platform there in the future. There'll be another one this side of this inner track, and there will be a bay platform in there that the bubble car and the pannier tank with the two local coaches, suburban coaches, will pull into. So again, something for the future. Use your imagination. There's lots of things in my imagination about this layout, and hopefully I can pull it all to fruition. There's many a long hour thinking about what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it, and I'm looking forward to getting to that stage. I'm just desperately trying to get some more track work done. I'd like to get all the track work done before I actually start building anything substantial, mainly because that's kind of my nature. I like to do things and then work on the next things. There will be some things that I'll have to do as I start building, so that we know that they'll fit in, like roads and things like that, but you know, that's for the future. Yeah, what I'm going to do today is just leave you with a running shot of this going and doing a full circuit. So we do Exham Bay to Exham Bay. Right, so that will be about it for this week, everybody. Thanks ever so much as usual for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, if you like what you're seeing. You know, the next few weeks is really going to be about track laying. Exciting, sure, but can be a bit boring. But what I'll do is just update you with my progress as I go, as we go through that full circuit. So, like I say, thanks a lot, and see you soon.